The next section that we're going to be moving into is called proportionality. And inside this section we'll be talking about these two key terms, proportions and proportional. As you can see, they're sometimes, those words are kind of interchangeable. You use them in a different setting. Basically what those two terms mean is two equivalent ratios. We've got a situation here that I've kind of already built up for us. We've got 12 students for every 2 adults. Let's say that this involves some type of camp somewhere. And when they take these kids to a camp, they've got to, for every 12 students that go or that sign up to go to this camp, they've got to take 2 adults. But what we have here is we've got a table here that we need to complete. Got some missing information. We're going to use this proportional situation here. We're going to set up some proportions to solve that. So over here to the side, kind of show you what that looks like. If I know that I'm going to bring 12 kids, then I've got to have 2 adults, which is what we described in that situation over there. But what happens if I know I need 3 adults to go? How many students is that going to be? How am I going to figure out how to make this turn into this? Well, when you look at this 2, there's nothing that you can multiply or divide it by to get it to turn into a 3. But we learned something a couple of days ago, last week, called a unit rate. Can I make this into a single unit rate as opposed to just a double unit? Can I make it into a single unit? Well, if I take this 12 over 2 and divide it by 2, I end up with 6 over 1. So instead of thinking of it like for every 12 kids, I need 2 adults, I can think of it like for every 6 kids, I need 1 adult. So 6 students means I need 1 adult. Well, I know I got 3 adults going on my trip with me. How many kids does that mean I need? Well, what am I going to do to 1 to get a 3? Multiply it by 3. If I do it to the bottom, I got to do it to the top. So, how many students are going on this trip? 18. So I go back over to my table here, and I'm going to put the 18 above the 3. Well, now this should become pretty simple for me. If I know my unit rate, if I know that it only takes 1 adult to get me 6 kids, then when I go back to my table, I'm going to take my single block of information, or my single unit, my single section, and I'm going to use that to figure out how many kids are going to go if I have 6 adults going. Well, my unit rate was 6 students for 1 adult. Well, if there's 6 adults going, what do I got to do to that 1 to get a 6? Got to multiply by 6. So if I'm going to do that to the bottom to take this 1 adult and turn it into 6 adults, then I've got to take the 6 students from my unit rate and multiply it by 6 to get this missing piece of information. Well, 6 times 6 is 36. What am I going to do to the 1 to get the 10 down here? That's correct. I'm going to multiply it by 10. If I do that to the bottom, I've got to do the same thing to the top. 6 times 10 is 60. So I take this concept of a proportion, 2 equivalent ratios, right here. If I know my unit rate is 6 over 1, then I can turn it into any number on the bottom down here. Whatever I need to multiply by, I can turn into this number. If that's a 17, then I multiply it by 17. Then of course I'd do the same thing on the top. So when I'm doing proportions, I've just got to keep in mind that if I have a unit rate of 6 over 1, then I can turn it into anything that I need to turn it into using this concept of proportions. And making a guest appearance on the video is my daughter Allie. Wave at the camera. Press record.